After giving birth to my first son, I suddenly went into labor again and had twins. My husband kicked me out due to a past mistake, and I never forgave him. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Wonderland, like, and share this video with your friends. It might brighten their day and inspire them to do good. During my college years, I had an affair with a married professor, Mr. Benjamin Sutton. He promised that the relationship with his wife was over and would leave her soon. But that never happened. One day, Mr. Sutton invited me to his house. He said that his wife had finally moved out, but his mother-in-law dropped by and caught us in his bed. "Get out, you home wrecker. This man is married to my daughter." She yelled at me while I searched for my clothes hastily. He said they were getting divorced. I told her. "Well, duh, he lied to take advantage of you." "Get out," she screamed again. I cried on the subway all the way back to school and met up with my best friend, Nolan. He was the only one who knew about our affair. "You were right, Noel. He lied to me about his wife," I revealed while crying. "I'm so sorry, Karina. I know how much you liked him, and now you can move on with your life," Nolan said. I agreed with him and focused on school. We graduated together and realized what a great man my best friend was. So I asked him out. A few months later, we were engaged and got married by the end of that year. I got pregnant as soon as we returned from our honeymoon, and we were so excited. We prepared everything for the arrival of this baby and celebrated with our families. Finally, we welcomed Maximilian into the world, and we were ecstatic, but also sleep-deprived. Nolan returned to work a month after Max's birth. I was home alone when I felt a huge pain in my stomach, but my husband didn't answer the phone. I called 911 and was rushed to the emergency room. "You're going into labor," the doctor told me. "That's impossible. I gave birth to my son, Max, a month ago. I can't be pregnant again," I yelled through the pain. "Ma'am, I'll explain better later. For now, push," she urged. After a few hours, I delivered twin babies and still couldn't believe what had happened. I fell asleep, hoping that my husband would be there when I woke up, but Nolan was not in my room at all. I called him, and it went to voicemail. Suddenly, the nurse walked in. "Miss, has the hospital contacted my husband?" I asked her. "I'm sorry, Mrs. Cook. Mr. Cook has not answered our phone calls," she explained. "I can't believe it. It's been hours. Something must have happened to him," I said, worried. "Don't worry about that for now. The doctor is coming in," the nurse added. Dr. Watts came in with her chart, and other nurses pushed carts with my twins on them. Another nurse brought Max into the room as well. "Mrs. Cook, you have an extremely rare condition. You have 2 uteruses," Dr. Watts started. "But you got pregnant with your son, Max, earlier in one uterus while your twins were housed on your other uterus. It's as close to a miracle as I have ever seen." "I can't believe it. But why didn't we know sooner? I went to the doctor months ago, and he never said anything," I wondered. "Well, Mrs. Cook, it says here that you came when you were about 3 months pregnant with Max. The other 2 fetuses were smaller, and your doctor that day didn't look further. But then, you never came for other checkups," Dr. Watts explained. "Oh well, yes, we got so busy, and the pregnancy was going so smoothly. We kept putting it off. I'm sorry," I said, chagrined. "It doesn't matter now. You have 3 healthy babies, and I got to witness one of the rarest conditions in the world. I should thank you," Dr. Watts said jokingly. I laughed with her, and then she left. Meanwhile, I hoped that Nolan would get here soon. Soon, one of the nurses approached me. "Are you ready to name the twins?" she asked. "Oh yes, my husband and I had some extra names picked out for Max, so I guess they'll be Preston and Ewan Cook," I told her. She wrote the names down on their birth certificates, and I signed them. I waited for days in the hospital while the nurses helped with my 3 newborns. Luckily, my mother finally arrived and helped too. "I don't know why your husband is not here. I passed by your house, and his car was there," she said. I want to go home and see him, I said. They finally cleared me to go, and Mom drove me home. That's when all hell broke loose. Oh no, you don't get to come back here with your bastard babies. Nolan screamed at me through the window when he saw us parking in front of the house. What are you talking about? I yelled back. Mom, stay in the car with the babies. I'll go talk to him. You heard me. I should have never married a woman who used to be someone's mistress. Get away from here. This is my house, and I don't want you here. Max is probably not mine either. Nolan continued his crazy tirade. Nolan, that doesn't even make sense. I have 2 uteruses, and we got pregnant at different times. That's all this is. It's an anomaly, but it happened to us. It's a miracle. We have 3 boys now, I shouted. You're a liar. Go away. I don't want to see you again, he continued. You know what? Fine. I'll pick up my things. I can raise these babies on my own. I don't need someone who would try to hurt me with something stupid I did in the past. Goodbye, Nolan. I finished and got in Mom's car. She took us to her house, and I stayed with my parents from then on. At some point, Nolan called the hospital and got the story from our doctor. He called to apologize, but I never forgave him for what he did. I sued for child support, though. 3 kids are not cheap.